a Russian-occupied beach in Crimea, right, was struck by missile fragments from Ukraine. Well, the U.S. gave Ukraine these missiles, and they said, go after them. Now, right in May, Biden greenlit Ukraine to use U.S. weapons on soft target civilian areas within Russia. And Ukraine said, cool, we're going to do it. And if you remember, Russia went and parked their nuclear submarines in Cuba, which is less than 100 miles off the coast of Florida, and said, okay, we're going to do a little show of force here. You want a green like that? Let's do it. And Biden said, cool, Zelensky, go shoot at a beach. And that's what happened. I'm oversimplifying things a little bit, obviously, but that's more or less what happened. And that's the problem here. So you got 5 people dead, 2 of them are children. You got hundreds of people injured, missing, you name it. That's the problem here. I'm not saying we have to let Russia be the bully of the world. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, quite the opposite. The problem here is nobody wants to de-escalate this conflict. If you think back to the Cold War, I mean, look at the leaders we had in charge then. All over the political spectrum, Eisenhower, Reagan, Carter, Kennedy, Nixon, Johnson, right? Ford, all over the political spectrum from both parties. Every single one of them had one thing in mind with every action they took. They had one thing in mind, which was de-escalation. I need to prevent this. We're not going to get bullied, but at the same time, we don't want to escalate this conflict further. And sometimes they succeeded, sometimes they failed, but they always had the right intentions. Biden has done nothing, or his administration has done nothing with this Ukraine thing other than escalate it. That's all they've done since this started, is continue to escalate the conflict. Continue to escalate the conflict. Russia gains a little ground. Guess what? We're going to greenlight Ukraine using weapons inside of Russia on civilian targets. Russia says, cool, you want to do that? Then we're going to go park our ships right outside your harbor in Florida. The U.S. says, cool, you want to park your ships out there? Go shoot at their civilians. What song did I remind you of saying that? Because you started dancing. I remind you of a song?
I have the SVU theme song stuck in my head.
Even better. But they have no desire to de-escalate this conflict. I have seen nothing from the Biden administration or NATO as a whole that tells me they want to make this go away. They want to stop this. They're trying to stoke the fear. They're trying to push us into a war because wartime presidents very rarely lose their reelection. And if we get attacked and we got to go under War Powers Act, there are some legal scholars that believe Biden could actually suspend the elections altogether if we get a formal declaration of war. And believe me, there's enough war hawk Republicans in Congress. They'll go to war in a heartbeat. You think Mitch McConnell's missing a chance to cash out one more time before the old Grim Reaper comes to get him on those Raytheon stocks? Not a chance. Lindsey Graham, never seen a war he doesn't like. Totally straight Lindsey Graham. Never seen a war or a male prostitute that he doesn't like. He's going to war. You got enough Republicans in the House and Senate. We're going to war. The second Biden says jump, they'll say how high. Because that's the one thing that's the one thing Republicans and Democrats can seem to agree on, is sending American kids off to die for third world shitholes that wouldn't piss on us if we were on fire. Was that harsh language to describe Ukraine? Or was it accurate?
I think that was pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate, yeah. Right? And you could insert any country there. Iraq, I mean, you name it. Any of the last 30, 40 years worth of foreign policy excursions we've been involved in. But no, they don't want to de-escalate this. So here's what this comes down to. And I don't care what you think about Donald Trump or not. In 2020, I was not a fan of Donald Trump. Right? I voted for Gary Johnson in 2016. But in 2020, I held my breath and I voted for Donald Trump. And there were 2 reasons why I did it. The first reason was Biden was campaigning on banning assault weapons, right? And when I own, well, as far as you know, I own none. But when I've got someone campaigning saying he's going to make myself and 100 million other Americans felons overnight, I'm going to vote for the other person that has the best chance of beating him that isn't going to do that out of self-preservation. But the primary reason I voted for Trump over Biden in 2020 was because if you look, Biden told you from the get-go that they were going to continue the Obama and Bush-era policy on Russia, which is more or less what Hillary was going to continue. She was running on that as well. Hillary was basically running on, I'm going to start World War III. And that's part of the reason she lost. And we forgot about that going into 2020 because we had 4 years where really not much at all happened with Russia. There wasn't all the nonsense or North Korea for that matter. You had that little blip on the radar with North Korea, and Trump put Kim Jong-un in his place. So you had 4. So people forgot that, hey, these countries are actually, China as well, these countries are actually threats to us. And Biden was running. He told you this in the campaign. He didn't lie to you. He didn't deceive you. It was none of this. Biden told you in the campaign they were going to continue the Obama and Bush era policies on Russia and North Korea and China and Iran and all these other countries that weren't working, which is to continue to antagonize them, to put missiles on their border. Could you imagine if they put missiles in Mexico? Guess what? Mexico just elected an anti-American communist president. So that's a real possibility that they could all of a sudden get real friendly with somebody directly to our southern border. You don't think that's a concern? You don't think it would be an issue with us if they put nukes in Canada or Mexico? I think we'd have a little bit of a problem with that. I don't know. Would you have a problem with that, Mia? Do you think we'd have a problem if they put nuclear missiles in Mexico?
I don't think they'd hit me.
Oh, they'd shoot
I'm
right
immune.
for us. We can spit and it would land at Offutt Air Force Base.
I'm immune.
We're going down in the flash. Well, no, you're immune because you're a Native American, so the chip will kick in and you'll float up with the aliens. But they've done nothing, but Biden's policy when he was campaigning, he was telling you, hey, we're going to start riling Russia up again. It's been a little too peaceful, a little too quiet over there on the Eastern Front. Let's start riling them back up. Because that's more or less what would have happened. I mean, what you're seeing right now is what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had gotten elected in 2016. She was promising to basically be a third term for Barack Obama. It's specifically his foreign policy. So you're seeing, we got like a 4-year pause of the neocon Warhawk agenda that was inevitably going to lead to the destruction of mankind, and then it picked back up the second Biden took office. You're going to tell me that was a coincidence. You had Bush, Obama, and Biden all basically had the same policy on Russia. What happened under Bush? Russia took Georgia. What happened under Obama? Russia took Crimea. What happened under Biden? Russia went for Ukraine within a couple months of him taking office after 4 years of doing nothing under Trump. You can't tell me that's a coincidence. And now we have to reap what we've sown here. The chickens are coming home to roost. So the primary reason I voted for Donald Trump was I am not a fan, believe it or not, this might be my most controversial opinion here. You ready for this? I am not a fan of nuclear war. I don't want myself or my grandchildren to have to witness a nuclear war. I think that's a bad idea. And if you ask Dennis, the aliens will save us. But I think that's a bad idea. I could be, maybe I'm weird. I could be wrong. But
there's people that are dying.
There'll be a lot more if Biden gets his way. But that was the primary reason I voted for Trump. I'm like, hey, you got a guy saying, hey, I'm going to start antagonizing not 1, not 2, but 3 countries with nuclear capabilities and 1 in Iran that's about to get it. We're going to start doing that again. And I'm like, no. So I saw through the bullshit. I know a lot of people got duped, and it's crazy how little we pay attention to things like that, and despite how important they are, when we're, what cities are burning to the ground, and you've got COVID raging through the streets. The economy's been shut down for close to a year. I'm giving you guys a mulligan for voting for Biden on that one. I'll give you 1 mulligan. But I'm telling you, if this guy gets reelected, you know how you're seeing people saying, hey, we need COVID amnesty. Can we just let bygones be bygones? I know I acted like a clown during COVID and harassed a bunch of people, but, it was a crazy time. Can we just move on? You're going to start to see people asking for Biden amnesty. Hey, the BLM thing, the country was burning to the ground. Trump just seemed to be antagonizing people on the left even further. I was really fatigued to him. He seemed like a bad guy. COVID had no end in sight, and here was Biden, who was this little old man that was promising to be a steady hand that brings stability back to the country. Can I have a mulligan? You're going to start seeing people ask for Biden amnesty in a couple of years here. But you don't get a second amnesty. I'll give you one mulligan. I get it. There was the media came out in a full court press for the entire 60 minutes of the game. Or 48 minutes, that's how long an NBA game is. For the entire 48 minutes of the game, the media was in a full court press, right? You had chaos in the streets. And I'll agree, Trump, some of his language toward the rioters and whatnot, it didn't seem like he wanted to de-escalate things here. I get that. But you got to be able to see past the surface. All of those things, it's to advance the military-industrial complex. They knew the second they got their guy back into office, they'd be able to start making money and start getting the war machine churning again. And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. We'll get Biden back into office. He'll antagonize the Russians. All of a sudden, we gonna get that money flowing again, baby. A lot of those defense contractor stocks, they weren't doing too hot under Trump. Go check them now. Go check them now. I mean, they weren't doing bad. They weren't doing as good as they are right now. So the mulligans are off. The election after this strike, because I'm telling you, this is going to continue to escalate. This isn't going to stop here because Russia already said to the U.S., expect retaliation. Now, that can mean whatever you want to think it means. But to me, is it Newton's third law of motion? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I'm going to Google that so I don't sound like an illiterate moron. Every action equal. Yeah, it's the third law. Sweet, I remember that from 7th grade. To me, when someone says, hey, expect retaliation for a strike on our own civilians at a beach where families are, to me, that means they're going to hit our civilians at a place that's highly populated with innocent people trying to enjoy their lives. That's what that means to me. And if the last 3.5 years are any indicator, Biden's going to continue to escalate after that. Which, I mean, let's be honest, and I can't even disagree with them at that point. A strike on American citizens is an act of war. We're going to war at that point. The line has been crossed. We can't go back. But remember who started it. And I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not a Putin shill. But remember who started this by going after civilians first. Soft target. I'm not talking collateral damage and bombings. I'm not saying what the Russians are doing in Ukraine is okay. But collateral damage from bombings when you're trying to take over a city that has high military value is not the same thing as targeting a beach because you want to blow a beach up and scare people. It's not the same thing. We started getting nasty on this when we greenlit Ukraine striking soft target civilian areas that were of no military value. So this election just became a one-issue election. We're not talking about abortion. We're not talking about the Supreme Court. We're not talking about guns. We're not talking about whether or not you have a quote-unquote right to cut your kid's junk off. That's all out the window. Those aren't even in the back seat. They're not even in the trunk. The trunk just popped open on the highway, and they all went flying out the back. The only issue that you should be concerned with the election this year is World War III. I just made the election real easy for everybody on November 5th. Do you support World War III or not? Do you want a nuclear war or not? If the answer to that question is yes, I do want World War III, I do want a military draft, I do want to get nuked, then go ahead and vote for Biden or stay home. If the answer to that question is no, I'd rather, my son not get sent off to die for Ukraine. If the answer to that question is no, You know, I'm more of a cold weather person. I'd rather not get hit with a nuclear bomb. There's only one guy that's got a real chance that's going to avoid that, or at least gives us a chance to avoid that. And he hosted The Apprentice. I don't like it either. That's where we're at, though. That's where we're at. This is not the year to go, I'm staying home. Trump is audacious. He's offensive and mean, and he's a crude brute. This ain't the year to do that. I know it's been Bull You Cried Wolf every year. They say, oh, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. Nope, it's here. This is the self-preservation election. Do you want to die in a nuclear holocaust or not? That's what the ballots should actually say. Do you want to die in a nuclear war? Check yes, the vote goes to Biden. Check no, it goes to Trump. And then I don't know, it goes to Biden anyway, right? That's what the ballots should actually say, because that's really a more accurate depiction of the choice we're facing on November 5th. November 5th. Not the 4th, not the 6th, the 5th. The 5th. Make sure all your dead relatives know. I've never encouraged people to vote. That's never been who I am. But I'm looking at the way things are shaping up right now, and I'm going, oh my God, we're going to war with Russia. This, I know everyone's thinking, oh, well, they said that during the Cold War. No. You guys don't get it. We just entered uncharted waters. These are unprecedented times. We weren't shooting Russian beaches during the Cold War. This ain't never happened before. This is the first time this has happened, and we're navigating through a dark forest that we've never been in before. So buckle up. And if after hearing all this, if you still are like, you know, I still think I want to vote for Biden, which is probably nobody listening to the show, let's be honest. But if you know someone who is aware of what's going on in Ukraine and aware of how they are sleepwalking us into World War III, I want you to reach out to that person. I'm serious. This is homework for all of you. I want you to reach out to 5 people you know who are either Biden voters or thinking about voting for him and say, hey, I know you don't like Trump. I know you think he's offensive. I know you think he's crude and obnoxious. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to call your son. I want you to call your nephew. I want you to call your cousin, your grandson, friend. I want you to call coworker, any male in your life between the ages of 18 and 26, and tell him why your feelings matter more than his life, because he will be the one getting drafted and shipped off to Ukraine to die in the war. Not you with your hurt feelings. 55-year-old cat mom that sits at home and we can all smell your house from the sidewalk. You're not the one that's going to get shipped off to die. So I know Trump hurts your feelings. I know you think he's going to make it so you can't kill your baby after it's born, even though no one wants to fuck you and knock you up anyway. I know you think that. I know you think he's racist. You know what's not racist? Nuclear war. It doesn't discriminate. The draft is not racist. They take everybody. And the bullets that fly into you when you go over there also aren't racist. They'll kill everybody. I know that. I know you're concerned about abortion. But Joe Biden's about to abort all of us if he gets reelected. If he gets reelected, we are going to war. We are absolutely going to war. A lame duck Joe Biden is the most dangerous thing for the fate of humanity. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic. We will go to war with Russia and probably China and probably Iran and probably North Korea. You think we can handle all that at the same time? The military has the lowest recruitment numbers in the modern era. And we've got an entire generation of kids that's addicted to tablets and porn and video games. Do you think we're going to be able to get them into fighting shape in 3 months? Absolutely not. We will get our asses handed to us. I don't want to go to war. I don't want it to be Red fucking Dawn, because that's what it'll be. I would prefer we avoid that. You've seen Red Dawn, haven't you?
The new one with Taylor Lautner.
Of course.
Simply for that, I don't
Not
remember
near
anything.
as good as the original. Not even close. Not a bad movie, but not good. But I'm dead serious. If you live specifically in a swing state or a swing district, if you live in Omaha, because I know we have a lot of listeners from Omaha, that's a district that is considered to be purple because Nebraska divides up the electoral votes. If you live in Omaha or Nebraska's 2nd district or Nevada or Iowa or Michigan, Wisconsin, and you're listening to this show, November 5th, vote like your children's lives depend on it, because they quite literally do if they happen to be males between the ages of 18 and 26 and they don't have children. Because they will be the ones that get drafted. They will be the ones that get shipped off to die. Not you with the hurt feelings because Trump made a couple tweets and a joke on The Apprentice that you didn't like. Your sons, and well, if the establishment gets their way, also your daughters will be shipped off to die in Ukraine. That's all there is to it. It's up to you. Do you love your son or do you not? If you don't have a son or any males between the ages of 18 and 26, get at me, Caleb at CalebSalvatoreComedy.com. I will send you my brother's phone number, and you can call him and tell him why your feelings matter more than his life. But I'm serious. If you're considering voting for Biden, I want you to call up all the males between the ages of 18 and 26 in your life and tell them why their life doesn't matter to you. I'm done playing fucking games with you people. I am not about to watch my family members get shipped off to die in some fucking shithole. Dude, I'll go to Leavenworth. You'll have to lock me up before I go die for Ukraine. That's bullshit. Because we got a retard at the reins that is intentionally driving us off a cliff, trying to start a world war so he can continue to launder money with his crackhead, deadbeat father of a son and hold on to power for a couple more years. This is criminal. I'm not standing by while they pull this shit. And I ain't going to be a part of it. You didn't hit the scream button. You didn't hit that one. Sure. Go ahead. No, it's too late. Ah! All right. Well, that's been our lead topic. It's cheery topic this week, right? Cheery topic. Well, store brand TMZ is coming up next. We'll lighten the mood a little bit. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.